Hello students of grade 2, welcome back. Today we will be learning another new chapter that is entitled Dragons and Pirates from Unit 7. In this chapter we will be learning a lot of subtopics such as story beginnings, character portraits, chapter headings, setting and dialogue. And also from the grammar section, we will be learning about noun and noun phrases, pronouns, simple compound and complex sentences, phrase and adverbial phrase. So let us proceed with the class. Story beginnings. A story starter is any kind of beginning that helps a child begin to read or write a story. This can come in many different forms, but essentially it directs the child towards a certain idea or give them a beginning situation so that they can build a story around or get an idea of what the story will be about. The child is ready to read more, and this helps to make them curious and want to read furthermore. The first story beginning that we have here is a story about a character named Elfie Small, who is a famous explorer and adventurer. His favorite place to go exploring is at the bottom of his garden because he always finds something new to explore and is always surprised to find new exploratory items behind the long tall grasses at the bottom of his garden. The story beginning also expresses about how on that particular day he found another new exploratory item, that is a small boat which was floating on the stream. So he climbed aboard and paddled away for a new adventure. The second story beginning leaves the reader puzzled as what the story is all about, and one has to read further to know more about it. It talks about how the readers would be wrong that if they're imagining the story is about a group of smugglers who are faced by an army of 5 children with a bucket and spade. The readers would still be wrong if they are imagining the story to be about a gang of dangerous pirates who has captured a poor little girl. But unlike the previous assumption about the smugglers, the story of pirates would be more close to the type of story that the readers are about to read. This is the only hint that the writer would be giving out, and the readers are advised to read further for more details if they are interested. The third story beginning that we have here talks about dragons. It starts off with a little kid questioning her granny about why people laugh at her granddad, saying that people call him strange, to which her grandma replied saying that her granddad is different from the rest. The little kid goes to the garden and walks up the path to the hills where she saw her granddad sitting on a hump. Her hump means a rounded raised mass of land, and her granddad was whistling away. The little kid asked her granddad about why he liked the hills so much, to which her granddad replied saying he liked it because the hills were the dragon hills. The kid was amazed and curious and questioned her granddad about whether they were real dragons. The granddad answered saying that they were the real sleeping dragons, and asked the little girl whether she would be interested to listen to the stories of the sleeping dragons and how he came to know about them. Those were the story beginnings. Now, after reading the story beginnings, the readers are often left with a question, what happens next? Therefore, the next subtopic that we have is entitled, What Happens Next? So now let us look at the stories. Firstly, let us learn about Elfie Small, as after he aboarded in the boat, what did he experience? As Alfie Small paddled away in his newfound boat, he noticed that the stream got bigger and the water was flowing faster. And as he fastened his boat to move speedily like a speedboat, he saw a huge boulder blocking the river. The boulder was shaped like a dragon's head, and the boat raced directly towards it, and the boy screamed for help because he thought that the boat would crash after hitting the boulder. Another mysterious activity took place. The rock, that is the boulder, began to move, and a dark cave opened up like a yawning mouth, and Alfie was swept inside the dark cave. The boat went down the dark cave, and Alfie held on tight to the rocks as the boat went down in a zigzag manner between rocks as sharp as the dragon's fangs, that is the teeth of the dragon. The water underneath was spinning in a circular motion that made the boat spin round and round, because of which now Alfie was confused about the way to his home. Then, suddenly, Alfie was shot out of the tunnel and he was out again, sailing in the choppy. Choppy here meaning when the water has many small waves. Where not far away, he saw a small island. Island meaning a small piece of land surrounded by water. And out of this island, there was a cloud of smoke flowing outwards from behind some trees. Alfie once again steered the boat towards the island. This goes to show that Alfie will soon find himself caught in some other adventurous exploration. The other story continuation that we have here is a story about the dragon boy. We have read early in the story beginning how the grandfather wanted to narrate the story to his grandchild about the story of the sleeping dragon. So now let us find out about the story. The granddad narrated the story of how in the olden days the villagers needed fire to warm their homes and cook their food to make their lives comfortable. So they chose a brave, strong man in the village and gave him a spear and called him a fire snatcher. The granddad revealed to his grandchild that her great-granddad was the fire snatcher and hero of the village. Lily was curious as to how her great-granddad snatched fire and questioned her granddad. Her granddad replied, saying that the dragons are strange creatures who sleep for full 90 years after laying their eggs until the eggs are ready to be hatched. He narrated about how during the time while his father was the fire snatcher, the dragons were in their sleep years. So he had to walk slowly into the hills, then jump suddenly on a sleeping dragon and poke it with his spear. After doing so, the dragon would wake from his sleep, frightened and blaze with fire, just as how anyone would be mad if they were pricked by a needle in their sleep. But it worked, and the dragon roared fire. While the dragon roared fire, the fire snatcher would place his torch of dry wood into the sudden burst of fire that comes out from the dragon's breath to light the torch. That is how, in the olden days, the fire snatcher would burn the torch from the dragon's breath and bring fire for the village people. Moving on to the next topic, that is character portrayed. Character portrayed simply means the qualities of a character in a story. When we write a portrait, we write a description or observation of a character in a story. One should be as descriptive as possible. Think about not only the character's physical appearance, but also about his or her personality, what they think, do, and writes. You can also add interesting noun phrases and verbs to describe what the character looks like or what the character does. One can also add different types of sentences while writing a character portrait. Moving on to the next subtopic, that is chapter headings. Chapter headings can usually be found in novels or storybooks which are very long. They are divided into sections called chapters. Reading the chapter heading is a good way of seeing whether you will like a book. You can often guess the kind of book it is from the different chapter headings. Headings show up at the top of paragraphs or pages, and they give you an idea of what the story is or what the book is about. You might write a heading for each chapter of your story if it is very lengthy. In a simple example, here in your particular book, that is your English book, and in this particular unit, you have different subtopics or chapter headings that has been divided separately, and you can find each of them on top of every paragraph. Like we have story beginnings, we have character portraits, chapter headings, setting and dialogue, and different grammar section topics. So this you can also understand it as chapter headings. The next topic we have is setting and dialogue. I'm sure by now you must be very well versed in this topic. So let us discuss this topic very briefly. Firstly, setting. The setting is where a story takes place or where the story is located. A setting includes various elements. You can find out the setting of a place through the time of the day and the location of the story. The setting could be your classroom during the afternoon hours. The setting could be your school park during the daytime, or the setting could be during the night, dark time. Next, dialogue. Dialogue means the conversation between two or more people in a particular story, meaning the conversation between characters, an exchange of opinion on a particular subject or discussion. It is the line spoken by characters in drama or fiction which contains an open inverted comma at the beginning of the words said by a character and ends with a closed inverted comma at the end of the conversation. It usually ends with a question mark or an exclamation mark or a full stop. For example, here you can see, "But how did he snatch the fire?" asked Lily. Here you can see the use of the open and closed inverted commas, and since the sentence ended with a question, after the closed inverted comma, you can see how the sentence we have there is asked Lily. Okay, since it was a question, it's being termed as asked Lily. Next we have, "Well, Lily, dragons are strange creatures." There you can see the use of the inverted commas, the open and the close, and this is a simple sentence, so therefore it is ending with a full stop. Therefore the next sentence we have is, "said Granda." Next we have paragraphs. A paragraph is a group of words put together to form a group that is usually longer than a simple sentence. Paragraphs are often made up of several sentences. They are usually between 3 to 8 lines. Effective paragraph starts with a topic sentence that tells the reader what they'll be reading about in the paragraph. As you can see here in the picture that is in your textbook, there are 4 paragraphs. Now let us read the paragraph and see if every paragraph offers different action. First paragraph. One day, when Dragon Boy had been huffing and puffing nothing but whistles, some young dragons began laughing at him. Dragon Boy went off sadly on his own. The second paragraph now. As the sun began to set, Dragon Boy turned for home, but he was still so cross that he kicked angrily at the flintstones under his feet. As one struck another, Dragon Boy saw a flash of yellow. "Fire!" shouted Dragon Boy. "I've met fire without having to breathe it." Now the third paragraph. Quickly he began collecting dry grass and sticks and bigger logs. Then, crouching down with his back to the wind, he struck two sharp flints, one against the other. Clack! At first the stones just smelled a little smoky. Paragraph 4. Clack, clack, clack. He struck them again and again, until at last a spark flashed and took to the grass. As the grass smoldered and smoked, Dragon Boy blew on it gently. He sang a fiery dragon song, and suddenly the smoldering flowered into flames. Here we can see how each and every paragraph describes a different action of the Dragon Boy, from the first paragraph to where he could not breathe fire to the last paragraph where he was successful. Therefore, in paragraph, writers usually begin a new paragraph when they introduce a different action, a different time, or a different place. Each paragraph performs different duties. Next, we have the grammar section. Firstly, we will discuss about noun and noun phrases. Firstly, what is a noun? A noun is a word that names something. Words like dragon, pirate, and explorer are all nouns. Noun phrase is a group of words that act like a noun. In a noun phrase, you will always have a noun and an adjective which describes the noun. For example, a famous explorer, real sleeping dragons, a tall dangerous pirate. Here you can see the noun in the first sentence is explorer, the adjective a famous. Adjective gives more meaning to the noun. What type of an explorer? A very famous explorer. What type of a dragon? Real sleeping dragon. What type of a pirate? A tall, dangerous pirate. The adjective or modifiers that modify the noun can be placed either before or after the noun. That is, the adjectives can be placed either before the noun or after the noun. The modifiers that are placed before the noun is called pre-modifier. As the three examples that I've just mentioned, those are called as pre-modifier because you can find the adjective placed before the noun. Whereas the modifiers placed after the noun is called post-modifier. Like the three examples given below. The grass is long and the weeds are tall. Here the nouns are grass and weed, and the adjectives are is long, are tall. Next, dragons are long and scaly. Here the noun is dragon. Then we have the adjectives after the noun, long and scaly. Lastly, pirates. That is the noun which is placed front side, whereas the rest of the modifiers, that is the adjective, are placed after, are scary and brave. Please remember this. The modifiers that are placed before the noun are called pre-modifier, and the modifiers that are placed after the noun is called post-modifier. Next we have pronouns. Pronouns are used to take the place of a noun or noun phrase in a sentence in order to avoid the repetition of the nouns again and again. The main possessive pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. For example, the famous explorer climbed into the famous explorer's boat. Now, if we had to replace the nouns with a pronoun, the sentence would change to he climbed into his boat. So now, the noun famous explorer is changed into a pronoun using he. Then, towards the second half of the sentence, famous explorers, that has been changed to a pronoun his. Likewise, in the second example, the angry pirates ran to the angry pirate's boat. Here you can see angry pirates, the noun, that has been changed to the pronoun they, because it's just not one person, it's more than one person. And angry pirates has been changed into their. The third example, Elfie saw a wooden boat and Elfie climbed aboard and paddled away. Here, instead of repeating the noun Elfie again and again, we have replaced it with the pronoun he. He saw a wooden boat and he climbed aboard and paddled away. Next we have the three types of sentences: simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. First, let us find out about simple sentence. A simple sentence has one subject and one main verb. For example, Elfie Small was an explorer. Here the subject is Elfie Small and the verb is was. So we have one subject and one verb. Next, Alovi waited for the train. Here the subject is Alovi and the verb is waited. So, in any sentence where you find only one subject and one verb, then that is a simple sentence. Next, compound sentence. Compound sentence are two simple sentences joined together with and, but, so, or, and usually uses a comma. For example, Vamiakam got into his boat and he paddled away. Here you can see two sentences that was joined together by a conjunction and. The second sentence, this house is too expensive, comma, and that house is too small. So it is very simple and clear for you to understand that compound sentence means two simple sentences that are joined together by either the words such as and, but, so, or. Complex sentences. Complex sentences have a main sentence that is a simple sentence joined to another sentence, the sentence which does not make a complete sense, by using words like because, if, when, that, although. The part of the sentences after the use of this word does not make a proper sense. This is what we understand as complex sentence. For example, Adi was worried because he was going to crash. Now, the part of the sentence after the usage of the word because does not make a complete sense, whereas the first part of the sentence, Adi was worried, is a simple sentence because it has one subject and one verb, Adi and was. Therefore, that is a complex sentence. The second example, when he saw the dragon, he was frightened. Now, the sentence after the word when does not make a complete sense, whereas the other half, he was frightened, makes a complete sense. The third example, Selangdir does not like cartoons because they are too loud. Now, the other half of the sentence, because they are too loud, does not make a complete sense on its own. whereas the first half, Salangdir does not like cartoon, makes a complete sentence on its own. Therefore, this is what we understand as complex sentences. Now, let us watch a short video so that you will understand this thoroughly.
Simple, compound, and complex. Look at this sentence. Ricky is studying with me. It is a simple sentence. A simple sentence contains a subject-verb pair. It expresses a complete thought. A compound sentence contains two simple sentences joined by a comma plus a conjunction such as and, but, or, so, yet, for, and nor. Let us now look at this sentence. Ricky is studying with me and I am helping him. In this sentence, the two sentences Ricky is studying with me and I am helping him are joined by conjunction and. Thus, it is a compound sentence. A complex sentence contains a simple sentence combined with a group of words that cannot stand alone as an independent sentence. The group of words is dependent on the simple sentence to make its meaning clear. For example, Ricky studies with me when he is confused. In this sentence, Ricky studies with me is a simple sentence, whereas the remaining part of the sentence, that is, when he is confused, cannot stand alone as an independent sentence. Hence, it is a complex sentence.
Next, phrase and adverbial phrase. A phrase is a group of words, and a phrase which tells you more about a verb is called adverbial phrase. Adverbial phrases can make a sentence seem more interesting and exciting. In simple terms for you to understand, adverbial phrases answers the question to a particular sentence by asking the question as how, when, where, or why. For example, with a smiling face, he accepted the award. Now you ask the question how. The answer is with a smiling face. So now, with a smiling face is your adverbial phrase. Next, my pet Milo likes to sleep on my bed. Ask the question where. The answer on my bed. Next, the flowers will bloom in spring season. Now ask the question when. In spring season. Next, Kipang did not go to school because she was unwell. It answers the question why, because she was unwell. So, if you have to find out the answer to what is the adverbial phrase, then ask the question how, where, when, why. The answer to that will be your adverbial phrase because it is describing the verb, that is the action in a particular sentence. That's all that we'll be discussing for this particular unit. Please be thorough with it, and if any doubt raises up, please call for queries. Thank you and stay safe.